Okay, just a quick word of thanks to the brave doctors that we talk to all the time on Lost Arts Radio, the ones who are willing to go beyond what they memorized in medical school and realize memorization is not the same as learning. Okay, if you hear something a million times, like something is safe and effective, and you can kind of guess what I'm referring to here, that just because you hear it a million times and these people in really fancy suits come in and say, yes, it's all safe and effective, every one of them, they're extensively tested, they've never hurt anybody. You memorize that, and everybody around you with the peer pressure is saying, yeah, they're all safe and effective because everybody else says the same thing. That's not learning, okay, and that's not science. And there are a lot of doctors now and other medical professionals and people within the medical system that are realizing that. Not only are they realizing it, but they're willing to talk about it, and that takes courage, because there's something like, 83, 85 more doctors that have just disappeared from this life for saying just a little bit about this stuff. And some of these doctors, and we at Lost Arts Radio, are going way beyond that. We're talking about how the whole picture fits together. And there are still some doctors, of course, a lot of them, that don't understand how such a wonderful, expensive education could have misled them so much. And it seems to me that the higher they go in the educational system, medical doctors, PhDs and beyond, it's harder and harder for them to comprehend or even look at the possibility that education might have misled them. And so they give a lot of false information without meaning to. They're still great people. And they don't realize that real teachers, without the so-called higher education, from the beginning, way before recorded history, were saying, look, it's the life force, whatever they called it, life force that comes into your body from non-physical dimensions and all the way from the source, through step by step down like a waterfall, into your body, into your physical cells. That's what keeps us alive. And that is the only force that can heal anything. Even the most natural doctor in the world can't heal anything. Okay, they can put you back together now. They've got great knowledge about how to do that with, fixing bones and screwing things back together and stitching things up, and all kinds of amazing procedures for trauma and emergencies and accidents. And that's fantastic. I think some of those guys are incredible, heroic individuals in the midst of amazing pressure to save lives in short periods of time. But after that, the healing and the reconstruction of the body, only this life force can do it. No doctor in the world, even the most specialized specialist, can't do it at all. It's life force. And toxic and invasive therapies, when they're not absolutely necessary, they hurt the body. And then disease conditions develop when the people are not taught what healing really comes from. And then when they degenerate and they have what's called old age, which is just totally blown out of proportion, not necessary the way that you're supposed to think that it is. Your joints don't have to fall apart, and you don't have to have heart disease and all of this junk. Those things are reflections of mistakes in the details of your everyday lifestyle. Most of them are correctable. Depending on how much damage has been done, they can almost always at least be improved, and usually completely reversed. This is what you're not taught. And instead, disease conditions are blamed on genetics or germs or both. But see, genes are constantly switching on and off. You might have an innate predisposition to some kind of condition, but it doesn't mean you have to get it. It depends what you're doing to take care of yourself. And that's really powerful, not just physically, but non-physically, the mental and emotional state, the programming, staying wrapped up in it or escaping from it. Those make the big difference. And the germs, that's genetics, it's definitely not a sentence that you have to have a certain kind of condition. And the germs are in the same way. They don't affect everybody alike. So if a person has really powerful immunity, the germs don't cause trouble, and they almost never cause any trouble in situations like that. And I've done the research work to see that, over and over again. If there are conditions set up in the body that the microorganisms want to come in and start decomposing things, that's not because the microorganisms are bad. It's because the conditions that call them in to destroy things are put there by us, because we don't know how to avoid doing that. And then real immunity comes from learning the basic laws of nature and incorporating them into your everyday life. Immunity does not come from injecting toxic materials into your body or the body of your baby that was just born. No, that's a complete hoax, and the people who are doing it, most of them don't completely know because they're not willing to really look at it. It's too threatening to their whole belief system, so they just go on saying, safe and effective, safe and effective. Everybody else says the same thing and they say it together. Does not make it true. And the people at the top of the system who came up with this thing and are promoting it and are putting extra poison in all the time, they know, and they're doing it on purpose. So they're the biggest victims, really, because once you learn something about the way nature works, you don't want to be the person fooling people to do things that will kill them. This is not setting up a good future for you. And if any of you are listening right now, those at the top of the system, this is not brilliant, okay? It's not clever, it's not smart, it's not intelligent. This is hurting yourself in the future, and you're falling for it just like your people in the lower system fall for it, and they don't see it because of the time gap. You know, if they make a mistake in their lifestyle long enough, and then it starts degenerating them very gradually later on, they don't make the connection, and the doctor tells them there's no connection. You guys on the top of the system are making exactly the same mistake. You're thinking you can control, surveil, damage, and destroy everybody and other life forms and things, and because you seem to be fine, you still got lots of money and power and all this stuff, that there's no connection. Big mistake. Anything that you do to or for somebody else, and we all make mistakes in this, and we learn because it comes back to us multiplied. That always happens, and it will happen with you guys too, no matter, even if you're on the very top of the power structure, even if you're not in a physical form, it's going to come back to you anyway. And the top guys are in a different situation, but it comes back to them too. So real immunity and real healing always come from what you do, the details in your everyday life. And the question is, are you brave enough, like these doctors that I was thanking, to set your programming aside and say, look, it's still going to be there. I can still believe all that stuff if I want to, but just for a minute, just for a brief interlude, let me check on another possible explanation of what's happening, another way of understanding what's true. Because if it is, I want to know about it. Not knowing doesn't help you. So I urge you to be courageous, even if you're right in the middle of the power structure, damaging all these people, killing people on purpose, or in the power structure above, at human or astral levels. The same issue is right in front of you. And if you're not looking at it, all your cleverness and intelligence is not going to help you. So take a minute, take a look at alternative explanations. Remember that memorization is not learning. In fact, it's what prevents you from learning. And start exploring. What could be the explanation? Because we're about to have a whole biosphere destroyed now, and it's not an accident. It's not a shortcoming of technology. It's all on purpose. The public is being misled on purpose. If you're in that group, that herd that's being led over the cliff, stop for a minute. Stop criticizing everybody else and look at yourself and see if there's a way to wake up some incredible potential and abilities in yourself that maybe you forgot a long time ago. And if you're in the top of the power structure or anywhere in it, and you're participating in this and you're thinking, oh, this is great because we're so smart, the public is so dumb, and we're getting all the money and power, and we're going to have the earth for our own, you're making a mistake. So stop and consider it for a minute. You want a better future than the one you're making now, and you can still do that. You can use your position even inside the negative power structure to do immense good. I'm just inviting you to do that, because underneath all the costume and the ego and the personality stuff, underneath we're all the same. Playing good or bad roles maybe, but we're all the same. We're all connected. We're all subject to the same laws of nature and the same ways to get beyond them. So I'm urging you to explore. Do it on your own. Do it with a few other supportive people, or do it with the rest of us, lostartsradio.com/club. Whatever you want, but your time's more valuable than you know. Use it well.